Lupus Warriors, if you've been juggling building your dream business while managing your health and feeling like there's never enough time or energy, I hear you. That's exactly why I'm offering personalized strategy calls to help you map out a plan that fits your life. Together, we'll tackle your challenges, prioritize your goals, and create a strategy that works with your health, not against it. If that sounds like what you need, head to the link in my bio or the link in the show notes to book your call today. Let's figure this out together. You've got this. All right, now back to the show.
Welcome to the Lupus Speaks Podcast. I'm your host, Shant'e, and I'm here to inspire and empower Lupus Warriors just like you. So grab your favorite drink and a notebook because you'll want to take some notes. Whether you're navigating the challenges of lupus or balancing health, faith, personal development, and business, this season is all about finding that sweet spot of success. Together, we dive into real stories, expert tips, and loopy gems to help you stay strong in both your journey and your hustle. So let's create the life we deserve while staying true to who we are. Ready to level up? Come on, let's go. Hi friends, it's me, Shadrika, and I'm so excited that you're here today. I wanted to share something that really clicked for me during my last therapy session. It's something that I believe so many of us, especially those of us living with chronic illnesses like lupus, need to hear. If you're like me, you're probably experienced the stress and exhaustion it comes with constantly trying to keep everybody happy. Sometimes to the point where you're putting your own health on the back burner. Well, I learned something that helped me understand why this happens, and I think it might help you too. I've been diving deeper into understanding trauma responses, specifically the fight, flight, freeze, and fawn response. These are natural ways our bodies react to stress, but the fawn response was something I didn't even know existed until recently, and I realized this is me. And it's something I struggle with all the time, especially when it comes to my family. So let me break this down for you. I'm sure you're familiar with the first three responses: fight, flight, or freeze. Like we all have heard that before. I know I have. But there is this fourth response called fawn, and it's one I never even realized was a thing until I started digging into it. The fawn response is essentially when you try to people please or overly accommodate others to avoid conflict or rejection. And y'all, I cannot stand in this type of conflict. Like, I be trying to run away from it. So I will... What do I do? I would just be like, I'm more like, I'm going to fix it. I want to fix it before it becomes a problem or before you throw me all the way altogether. So maybe you can relate to that. It's your body's way of trying to stay safe by doing whatever it takes to please other people, even if it means sacrificing your own needs and your boundaries. So for me, this shows up most with my family. I find myself bending over backwards, agreeing to stuff, even when I'm physically and mentally exhausted. Like when that baby want to read that story, that third, fourth, fifth story, like, man, I'm tired. I just want to keep the peace and I want to make her happy. So I read it, 3 or 4 books. I want to make sure that everyone else is happy, and it means that I might have to ignore my own health or emotional well-being. But this response is directly tied to survival mechanisms from my past traumas, or even yours, like childhood trauma, past relationships, or even how we've been conditioned to behave in this society. In the fawn response, we are not only ignoring our own needs, but we're also teaching others that this is okay to not respect our boundaries. Woo, that one right there. That whole thing when they say you teach people how to treat you, that is unfair. Because if you let stuff go and you just keep on letting them cross your boundaries, you just have this line, and then when they cross it, you just draw the line back versus standing on business and being like, no, this is what I said. Now, oh, baby, them kids get me every time. I be wanting to stand on business with them, and then I see that little teardrop, and then my line go back a little bit. But, everything is a work in progress. 2025, it's gonna be progression, okay? Now that I've shared how the fawn response shows up for me, let's talk about why it's important to identify it and how it affects our lives. The impact of people-pleasing and trauma responses on health and boundaries. Living in this state of constantly pleasing others and ignoring our own needs can be exhausting, especially for us Lupus Warriors. For me, every time I didn't set a boundary or say yes to something I knew I didn't have the energy for, I would end up in a flare or my body would swell up and it would just shut down on me because I wasn't listening to it. I wasn't respecting its need for rest, for care. But that goes deeper than just the physical exhaustion. Baby, let's believe it go bigger than that. The emotional toll that it takes on you for people pleasing is so real. It leads to feelings of resentment, guilt, and frustration. You know, when you've been in an over-accommodating, putting others first, but then you feel overwhelmed because no one else is doing the same for you. It's a vicious cycle, trust me. I had to learn the hard way that just during the holidays that people don't give like you give. People don't show or express themselves in the same way that you do. And your expectation kind of sets you up for disappointment or just feeling overwhelmed when you overexert yourself for somebody who's not willing to do the same for you. Yeah, it hurts. And the hardest part is not knowing how to stop it or to just say, no, chill, girl, you're doing too much, without feeling that you are disappointing or letting someone else down. And sometimes it can be disappointing to yourself, letting your own self down when you really genuinely just want to make a person happy without the extra fluff, you know? But here's the thing. Learning to say no is a form of self-care. And I'm going to say it again. Learning to say no is a form of self-care. It is a way to set the healthy boundary to protect your mental, your emotional, and your physical health. And let's believe we already know. We need that. We need to protect that more than anything else. Now, I want to share some practical tips to help you start breaking free from people-pleasing and the fawn responses. These aren't quick fixes, trust me, but there are steps toward learning how to say no and prioritize your needs. So, tips for identifying and breaking free from the fawn response. Recognizing the signs of people-pleasing. The first step is simply noticing when you're falling into the people-pleasing patterns. For me, it was the constant sense of guilt when I wanted to say no, and that guilt felt like anxiety. Just that inner conflict. I knew I couldn't do something, but I felt like I had to do it. I know y'all feel like this. Are you saying yes out of guilt instead of genuine desire? Start paying attention to those moments when you're overextending yourself and ask yourself, is this coming from a place of guilt or fear of rejection? Or is this truly something I can do without compromising my well-being? Start small, set those small boundaries. It's hard to go from people-pleasing to suddenly setting huge boundaries, especially if you've never practiced it before or even knew that you were doing it. Start practicing saying no to something minor, like turning down a task or an invitation that you know isn't aligned with your needs, or whatever if you just don't feel like it, because sometimes you just don't be feeling like it, okay? And as you get more comfortable with these small boundaries, you'll gain the confidence to say no to bigger stuff. It's okay to start with things like, I'm sorry, I need some reset right now, or I can't commit to this at this moment, but maybe I can revisit this another time. Boundaries can be kind of a compassionate and still be firm. Like, you can still have a compassion or want or desire to do something for somebody else, but just today, at this moment, I got to say, baby. Maybe in 2 weeks, catch me, but today, I'm not doing it. And just be able to stand on that. And it will get easier over time. One thing that I had to learn was my needs matter just as much as anyone else's. And I find this funny because I was listening to a TikTok. It was a video. And this guy was saying, y'all people pleasers, y'all forget that y'all the people. Are you happy? Are you pleased? And I just was like, ooh, that was a good one. That was for me. I thought it was so funny because we've conditioned to put ourselves last and put others first. And we just need to take a moment to check in with ourselves and see how we really feeling. Do you need rest? Do you need time for yourself? Do you need a mental break? Because, baby, I know I need them a lot. Okay, when you got mommy, and you have babe, what it's just it be like, I just want to be to myself. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I'm very thankful that I have that. But sometimes you just need a moment, and I don't feel guilty for saying that. I don't feel, I used to feel guilty for feeling like I'm pushing them away, but again, like it wasn't easy at first, but now I just go like, look, I really do need this moment in order to be happy how you normally would want me to be, like if I'm overstimulated, I'm not comfortable being around when I'm overstimulated. Everybody know to get out of my way. They be like, are you hangry? Something like that. Because I need a moment. Leave me alone. Okay. Now you need to seek support. Because you don't have to do this part by yourself. It could be helpful to have someone like a therapist or a friend or a Lupus Warrior or even your partner, just talking to them through what you're feeling and how they could support you when you're feeling overwhelmed, or how they could support you when you're like, okay, look, I'm setting this boundary. Sometimes I'm not strong in this, but I need you to support me. And when I say X, Y, and Z, like I need you to respect that. Don't be giving me no back and forth. Like just take it. You know what I'm saying? Be upfront. Tell them how you feel. Talk to somebody who gonna understand what you're saying. And guess what? They can remind you that it's okay to say no and take care of yourself. Because sometimes my partner, he'll be like, you know what? It's okay. I got it. You know what? Sit down. Because he understand like, okay, I'm overstimulated. And I'm probably just staying there like, so staying there up front gives them the notion that they can, they hear you and they do respect your boundary. I know this is not easy, but awareness is key. The more we recognize the people-pleasing behaviors and trauma responses, the more we can take action to change them. Setting boundaries and taking care of ourselves. This is how we protect our energy and ultimately thrive despite lupus. So if you're struggling with people-pleasing or fawn trauma responses, I encourage you to take a deep breath, give yourself some grace. Change does take time, but you are worth the effort. Start with small steps, prioritize yourself, your needs, and your health, and get you a therapist if you don't already. Okay? Because that's going to help you identify the trauma, where the response even came from, and it will come from a childhood pattern or behavior or something that we have gained to learn through society that, that's why I respond that way. That's why I feel rejected, and that's why I feel like I should say yes, because something had happened that triggered me to make me feel like I should say yes, even though I really don't. So definitely get you some therapy, get you some books that dive deeper in it, do some research, use Google like I did, because the notes that he gave me, he printed it from Google. So, just do your research. If you're working through these things, come connect with me on Instagram at Lupus Speaks and let me know how you're learning to set better boundaries and take care of yourself. Let's support each other on this journey. And thank you for listening, and I'll catch you next week on Lupus Speaks. Thank you so much for tuning in today's episode of the Lupus Speaks podcast. I hope you found some inspiration, encouragement, and a few loopy gems to carry with you on your journey. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with other Lupus Warriors who might need to hear this. And remember, you don't have to walk this path alone. We're building an incredible community here, so follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Lupus Speaks, or check out lupusspeaks.org for more ways to connect and get involved. And until next time, peace and be intentional.